Welcome, everybody, into Celtics pregame live. I'm your host, Justin Lowe, alongside with me, IV and Seamus and Rob. And we're getting set for Celtics and Wizards in Boston at the TD Garden tip-off just shortly here at 7:30 at the bottom of the hour. First and foremost, if you're new here, go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and go subscribe to our podcast. We are on Apple, Spotify. What else are we on? We're here on YouTube, and we're also on Buzzsprout, the Celtics Talk Weekly, TikTok and Instagram at the Celtics Talk Weekly, and on Twitter, Celtics_weekly. We have David, our good buddy, running that, and he's doing a hell of a job doing that. First and foremost, guys, Celtics coming in at 2-2, Wizards at 2-1, 7:30 p.m. tip-off at home in the Garden. Guys, how are we feeling tonight?
I feel great. I'm ready to go.
500.
A lot better than the last time we were at home.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So just really quick before we get into tonight's game, let's kind of talk about the game against Charlotte, because that was a game where all four of us sat here. We didn't really doubt the Celtics at all. Celtics coming off of a win in Houston, but then, you saw, the Charlotte Hornets coming in off of a blowout win in Brooklyn. Then, all the momentum, they're 3-0. Then they're playing at home in front of their home crowd. They go up by double digits multiple times in the game, multiple times in the first quarter, and then late in the fourth quarter. But Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, 41 for Tatum, 30 for Brown. They combined for 71 points, guys.
Yeah, that's what they can do. They're probably one of this league's best scoring duos, if not the best. Obviously you got a bunch of guys in the league that score well, but that's what they do, and that's what we've been looking for so far this season, for those two guys to really have a game where they kind of took over and showed their true value, and I think that both of them did a great job of that.
Yeah, and this is what we say about the Celtics every year that they've had Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. When both of them are clicking at the same time, it's very hard to stop the entire team, because those guys, as we know, forwards are more valued than any other player in the league nowadays. Especially two-way players like Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. So to have two-star players of that build on our team, that just says, we should be at the top of the league every single season we have both of them. Obviously last season I think it was a little bit of a fluke, but this year, this team is already looking through 4 games. I know the first 2 games didn't look too well, but the next 2, you can't say enough about Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum now that they've spurted into this rhythm now into the season, and you'd like to see that continue moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. It just makes you think, the Celtics really have 2 guys that are going to be the face, that could be a face of any franchise. And we got 2 of these all-star level guys, and they haven't even hit their prime yet, and they're doing what they're doing right now. It's just insane to think about. And I mean, it's just amazing to watch as a Celtics fan to see these 2. And when they're both clicking at the same time, I don't think anyone can stop them.
Now, somebody who stepped up in that game and ultimately helped the Celtics kind of climb back into the game early was Jabari Parker. He had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 of 4 from long range. He's not really known for his three-point shot. He hit 3 of them. That's all that mattered. And he played 17 minutes in that game against Charlotte. Seamus, talk to me about how important that role was for Jabari Parker, especially, he was cut, then re-signed, and then, hadn't played the first 3 games, and then comes in and, so far, I know it's an early season, but so far the biggest game of the season, and he performed well.
At the end of last season, the Nets and Celtics series, the only positive takeaway from that series was the way Jabari Parker played and came in and played. Jabari Parker is a veteran in this league. He was drafted in 2014. He's seen his lumps in Milwaukee, Chicago, Washington, Atlanta, Sacramento. He's been around the block. To have a veteran like that come off the bench and be ready, you look at him now, he's probably our 11th, 12th man right now. Yeah. But to have that man on the end of our bench where we can insert him into any lineup and he be instant offense, that's a huge plus for the Celtics that they didn't have the last couple of years. And last year, Jabari Parker's role was bigger, but we always discussed, if Jabari Parker can be, the 10th, 11th, 12th man on a roster, or even your 9th man, that's pretty good. And that's exactly what he is right now. And his role with this team, with this year's team specifically, it's going to be perfect for him and the squad, as we saw in Charlotte as well.
Now, the Celtics in the fourth quarter trailed 114 to 102. They trailed by 12 at the 5:52 mark of that fourth quarter. Rob, what to you, not to the Celtics, maybe just to you, that you noticed sparked that comeback in the fire that the Celtics came out and won?
I think there were a couple things, a couple big things that I noticed. Two of them really was the full court press that Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Smart started to put on. It kind of sped the game up and allowed for the Celtics to kind of make that comeback, gave them more offensive opportunities. And also Robert Williams. Rob Will was active on the offensive and defensive glass, but I mean, he was huge in those plays where that pick and roll lob from, Tatum in grabbing those, I believe, 8 or 6 offensive rebounds. It went a long way, and I think it sparked that run for the Celtics for sure.
Now, the Celtics did finish 2-0 on that road trip. Ian, we kind of talked about the Celtics getting off to quick starts. Actually, both games, the Celtics actually trailed fairly largely 8 or more points in both games early on. What needs to change tonight for the Celtics? Because honestly, we'll get into this into the keys of the game. But what needs to change for the Celtics tonight, especially at home, where, like you said, last time we were in this position at home, we lost by 32 points.
Yeah. I mean, I think I talked about this at the beginning of the Raptors game. Obviously, it didn't work very well, but I mean, they need to just, they need to feed off the energy of the crowd. The Garden crowd just makes it so much different when you play there as a home team. And I feel like it legitimately makes a difference to these players. And if they're hot, the Garden's going to be crazy. So I feel like that. And I mean, you can't let yourself get into too big of a hole. Now, I mean, they got into a little bit of a hole against Charlotte, but that wasn't really until the fourth quarter. But you can't start out a game down by 20 after the first quarter. I don't really care if you can come back or not, which, I mean, it's in this league now, it's not uncommon. But at the same time, it's not something you want to do because you don't want to be rushing to the last minute to try to get back.
Yeah, for me, the Celtics have to take away easy opportunities early. So far this season, through 4 games, although they won 2 of the games, early on, both of the games they won, they were giving up easy opportunities to the other teams, to their opponents, specifically from 3 and specifically in the lane. And to take away those easy opportunities and just take away the entire rhythm of the other team, that has to be done early on to, fill the holes that they're digging themselves, because we see it a lot in the NBA. Once you dig yourself a hole early, it's very hard to come back, and it's very hard to consistently come back once you keep doing that and making that a habit. So the Celtics need to come out, like Ian said, feed off the crowd early tonight with the TD Garden crowd. They're at home, and they just need to take away easy opportunities, defend early.
Now, this kind of shifts us in because both of those aren't the keys of the game, but they easily can be. Let's jump into the 3 keys of the game. Rob, what's your one of the keys to the game?
Well, so I'd say right now my key to the game is get off to a hot start, right? Let's close this thing shut by halftime. Especially, first of all, the TD Garden and the Celtics fans deserve to see a nice home win, especially after, how last opening night went and how long it's been since we've seen a regular season Celtics win at home. So, I'd say get out strong, get a quick early lead. And also, I would love to see, this isn't a key to the game, but I would love to see for the fourth quarter to see guys like Jabari Parker in the game, Juan Hurt, let Horford, let Brown, let Tatum, this is an opportunity, right? They got 2 days off tomorrow to go as hard as you can, give it everything you got through the first 3 quarters. And then guess what? You're sitting in the fourth and everyone's happy.
Seamus, how about yourself?
And my key of the game is going to be using our depth. If you look at the Wizards injury report right now, Raul Neto's out, Rui Hachimura's out, Thomas Bryant's out. Those are 3 key pieces to the Wizards that they don't have tonight. And the Celtics, like we already discussed with Jabari Parker, he's our 11th, 12th man. They have guys in front of Jabari Parker who can step up as well. Guys like Grant Williams, guys like Dennis Schroeder off the bench, guys like Josh Richardson. All of those guys can step up off the bench. And for the Celtics tonight, it's all about using that depth when the starters are off the floor.
And Ian?
Yeah, so my key to the game is, now, I mean, I really couldn't think of much because, I mean, there's really not much to really think about when it comes to the Celtics and coming off of their last game. But I think one thing that can be a little bit, I mean, it's not really concerning, but something they can improve on is closing out a little bit when they're going up against 3-point shooters. Like you saw against the Hornets, like they just kind of let LaMelo Ball shoot wherever he wanted. And granted, it's LaMelo Ball. He's going to be a superstar, but still. I mean, you want to close out to these shooters because we know how important it is to play defense against the 3-point line. So, yeah, I think closing out the shooters is my key to the game.
And I kind of agree with you, Rob. I think something important tonight is, getting out to that early lead, right? And not so much that even if it's a blowout. I mean, the Celtics, like I said before, the Celtics have ultimately not had the best starts in the first quarters. We've fallen behind quite quickly, actually, and we haven't been able to hit shots. With all due respect, Jabari Parker is one of my favorite players on this team, but it took 11 first quarter points from Jabari Parker for the Celtics to really be in that game in the first quarter against the Hornets. But all that brings us into the injury report. Like Seamus just said, 3 key players out, total of 5, a whole lineup for Washington. Hachimura out, Bryant out, Anthony Gill is out, Cassius Winston out, and Raul Neto, who the Washington Wizards are very, very high on Raul Neto. And he's he turned out to be such a very good, athletic, small little backup guard for the Washington Wizards and at some point start. So how does this change the Celtics game plan a little bit? Because like you said, Seamus, these 3 guys are a big part of their rotation.
Yeah, well, the Wizards don't really blow me away on either side of the ball. And Raul Neto, him being out tonight, that really hampers their point guard position. And, they'll still be fine because they have guys like Dinwiddie and Beal who can handle the ball for the majority of the game. But not having Raul Neto off the bench, he's kind of their aggressor off the bench, kind of the guy who gets their offense moving off the bench. But then again, their offense isn't very diverse. It doesn't move very often. It's a lot of isolation from the Wizards. Same with their defense. Their defense doesn't blow my socks off either. And, considering the depth, considering the matchup, I'm going to guarantee a Celtics win tonight.
Oh, there it comes.
There it is.
I feel like we should just have a poll to see how many wins that he actually predicted that are right and how many that are just dead wrong. Because I think what are you 1-1 right now?
I'm 0-1. It's only
last time he guaranteed the Celtics a win. They lost by 32 on their home court. So, all right.
Sorry, Celtics fans.
I was going to get to that later, but just real quick, Al Horford's active, fellas. He's in and out of the lineup. I think nothing serious. I think, they said that he would play second nights of a back-to-back, and then he didn't in Charlotte. But I don't think that's anything horrible. I think that was just precautionary. It is early in the season. Horford's one of those guys where, yes, he is great on the court when he is in, but you don't want to risk it with him. He is an aging 35 years old, with all due respect. But Romeo Langford remains out tonight with a calf injury. This will be his 3rd straight game missed. Guys, how do we feel about that before we move on? Romeo Langford, this is, I believe, his 3rd straight game. Is this his 4th missed game overall this year?
Yeah, it's the 3rd one, yeah.
Well, you'd like to see him play for sure. Especially, by the way, he's played awesome throughout the time on the court preseason and the small sample size we've seen him, through the regular season. You want to see a guy like Romeo Langford out there, especially, you never want to see an injury report at all, especially how healthy we've been, and so it does suck. But at the same time, we got depth. I'd like to see Aaron Nesmith play. He got no time at all last game. He didn't step on the floor. But you got guys like Richardson and Schroeder and Grant coming off the bench who have really been producing at a high level. It's something that doesn't hurt you too bad right now.
Now, let's move into the key matchup because this one's fun, guys. Jalen Brown and Bradley Beal. That's our key matchup tonight. Bradley Beal, his stats. Now, when I was writing these down in my notes today, something stuck out to me, a couple things with Bradley Beal. And you guys let me know what you think sticks out the most. 21 points a game, 4 assists per game, 3 rebounds a game, 36% shooting from the field, 21% from 3, and 4.5 turnovers a game.
I'd probably say the turnovers.
It sounds like if you said that was Marcus Smart's stat line after the first 3 games, that wouldn't have surprised me. But I mean, Beal's a good player. True, I was gonna say that too. But yeah,
his first game active was I want to say last night. I think they're on the second night of a back-to-back. They played the Nets last night.
Yeah, and then shifted to Jalen Brown, where he's 5th in the league in scoring, and he hasn't even played every single game yet this season. He's averaging 28.3 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, which for a shooting guard, that's a hell of a stat line. I don't care how early or late it is in the season. That's That's great enough. 3 assists per game on 49% shooting, and 39% shooting from 3. That amazes me. 39% from 3 and 49 from the field overall. That's something on averaging nearly 30 points a game. How efficient is that?
Super. And something I've noticed with both Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, I feel like they're doing a lot more altogether other than just scoring. I feel like, as a unit, they're rebounding a little bit more. We saw Tatum, he filled up the stat sheet, and Brown, and they've both really been doing their thing with an all-around basketball game, and we've been looking for that recently.
Now, we look at these Jason Tatum stats down here. Now, Rob, I'm assuming you've been doing the research on that. Is that right? 8 assists per game. Because if that's right, I know that's what he got last game. If that's right, Jason Tatum being the playmaker that we've asked him to be. This is the one thing we asked him to improve on this offseason, both on the podcast and on our shows.
Yeah, that's an error. He's averaging 4.5 assists.
Okay, but still,
I was gonna say, I'm like,
okay,
no
but right
way
around 5 assists per game. He had 8 assists in the overtime win against Charlotte, on top of putting up 41. So nonetheless, his ball movement, and I'm sure we all can tell, it's got a lot more fluent, and that's something that's a positive trend for Jason Tatum, because in his first 3 years, that's something that he's lacked, is playmaking.
Yeah, and what did we say all offseason? And not only us, Ime Udoka. The key to the Celtics' success this season is both Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum elevating the teammates around them. They haven't been able to do a great job of that at all throughout their careers. They've really been an ISO scorers, and I think at that Charlotte game we saw flashes of. And the Rockets game, we saw flashes of them really using their teammates. We saw Schroeder have 23. We saw Rob Whale caught some great lobs, 12 points. We saw Grant Williams get us 9 points, Jabari 13. So, the Celtics are really dangerous when guys like that are also contributing on top of their 41 and 30-point efforts.
Speaking of Grant Williams, sorry, Seamus. You can
go ahead on Grant Williams.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Grant Williams, I want to shout out Grant Williams. Met him at the I Love Boston Sports store in Braintree.
He met you.
I mean, he met me. I mean, we're best friends at this point. But yeah, Grant, he's a great guy. Shout out to you. Thanks for the autograph.
Even better basketball player.
Even better basketball player. He's going to have a big season this year.
We love you, Grant, here on Celtics Talk Weekly.
Most of us love Grant Williams here on Celtics Talk Weekly.
I have been nothing but praising Grant Williams this season.
So this takes
us
us
compared to what he did have. That's
let's try to keep up the positivity here and go to over under. This is one of our favorite segments, guys, here at the Celtics Talk Weekly pre and post game shows. Over under. I got a few here today, which I think the Celtics, these 3 right here, are kind of like the keys to win, right? Are the Celtics going over or under 25 team assists? I remember last game, guys, they had 33, and they got the win in overtime, 140-129 against a fast-paced Charlotte team. They going over or under 25 assists?
I'm going to go over. I think that Udoka's really made it a key really an emphasis to pass the ball. And I don't think that's going to stop. I think you're going to be seeing that all season as this team's looking to move the ball. And I think with Horford back in the lineup, you're going to see a lot more ball movement.
I'm also going over. And it all depends. Celtics, do you know how many opportunities there were, especially in that Houston game where the Celtics were moving the ball fluently and they missed wide open shots? More importantly, they airballed a lot of open shots and front rimmed a lot of open shots. So, I think it's also going to become, like Rob said, playmaking, but also shot making tonight as well for the Celtics.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go over as well. I was contemplating the under just because the Wizards, we might be in a slower paced game with them compared to a team like the Hornets or the Rockets. That's my only concern. However, we're averaging 27 for the season, and if we come out executing on offense, it shouldn't be completely hard to attain 25 assists against this Wizards defense, so I'm going to go over tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go over too. I just feel like it's going to be I don't really see how they don't get that much unless they just forget how to shoot. So, I think they're going to get over.
Second one, Celtics, we've talked about them getting off to, slow starts. Celtics over under 32 first quarter points.
32.
First quarter, I'm going under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under. That's a pretty big number.
Yeah, I'm going under.
I'm gonna go over on that one. I think the Celtics come out tonight, and like you said, like you guys you three hope you're wrong. You hope the Celtics get off to a quick start, but I'm gonna go on and say over. I think the Celtics come out early, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Jesus Christ, don't come at me for that. But I think the Celtics, I don't see there or to be a reason why the Celtics don't come out and show up and have a great first quarter, especially Ian. We talked about it, dude. Celtics lost by 32 on their home court. They want to get some redemption. They want to try to put up as much points on this Washington Wizards team as possible. I'm going to take the over on that one. A little risky over, 32 points is a little, crazy. But last one, Tatum. He's always known for big games against the Washington Wizards. Tatum over under 35 tonight.
35. Wow.
Ooh.
You know what? 35 is. I mean, if you're talking terms of like spreads,
if you want to negotiate something, we definitely can. If all four of us have to come to an agreement, though, on this.
So here's my thing: 35 isn't for Jason Tatum. He could get that any night. Averaging 27 and a half.
I base this off of his previous matchups against the Wizards. Just saying. Just so if you say that's a little high, to be fair, Jason Tatum has had some pretty damn good games against the Washington Wizards.
The obvious thing to do would be bet the under here, right? Because odds are he's not really going over 35. However, I'll take the over. I'll take the over on that one just because I think he's playing his good friend Bradley Beal. Last outing in Boston was an ugly one. I think he's going to really look to have a night, and I'll go the over there.
Go ahead.
I was going to say
Tatum.
Didn't he have 50 in that playing game?
No, I'm saying.
Oh, are you talking about last game?
Last game back
against the Wizards. I was going to say that was one of his best career games.
No, last outing back in Boston, he struggled. The team struggled, and I think he comes out. I think he'll anywhere between 30 or 30.
Do you want to negotiate? Like, you want to go like 32 and a half, like 32? You want to go there? You think that's more reasonable?
Justin, are you setting these over unders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's not because his over under like sports book would be like 26. So I'll say let's do like 32.
I looked up over unders, I couldn't find them anywhere. Yeah, and I kind of want to I want to be original in a way too. Like some of them.
So I'll go over 35. I'll stick with my over 35. Bold pick.
I'll stick with my over. Yeah, I agree with Rob. I think he has a big night. I mean, he could easily just not and just have another bad shooting night. But I mean, I'm gonna take with Jason Tatum absolutely owning the Wizards over the last few years. I'm gonna go. Jason Tatum goes. I'm going with the over 35. He probably gets 36.
The thing is
on a free throw.
this could be the night where you see Tatum 25, Brown 25, Horford 17, Schroeder 17, Richardson 12. You could really just see Williams not so you could really see a lot of scoring just from different spots.
Which would be amazing.
Which would be great. So. It could go either way. I mean, hey, maybe he gets 35 and everyone else scores, above 10. But we'll see.
We scored 200 points.
Yeah. So.
35 is an absolutely outrageous number. However, it is Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
That said, the point of this might be a 25 for Tatum, 23 for Brown, 20 for Schroeder, 17 for Horford night. That, in my book, is probably more likely against this Wizards team than Tatum going out and just scoring 35 on his own. Because if you look at the Wizards matchups last year, it was Tatum and Brown. They were pretty much the entire team. I don't really see that again happening tonight. I'm gonna go under 35 for Tatum, but I don't want to be a hater. I hope he does.
No, you're not a hater at all. Like we said, if you say under, you better, sometimes you hope you're wrong, right? I'm gonna go over. I agree with both Ian and Rob. Not that I don't agree with you, Seamus. I definitely see, if I'm being honest with you, a more balanced score sheet seems a bit more realistic to me than what we saw against Charlotte, maybe. But I think I don't know. Jason Tatum, had like Rob said, had an atrocious game in the TD Garden, facing his buddy Bradley Beal, who doesn't want to show up one of their best friends. I'm taking the over on that. So. That was over under, guys. We're just moments away from tip-off, rather. what are our final thoughts here going into this game? Again, Celtics have a chance to go over 500, which, we haven't seen that in a long, long time, other than Summer League. So this is a chance to get them when it matters.
If you're looking to watch the game, go head over to Ian's TikTok, and he'll be streaming it.
Well, if you want to watch Ian.
There's some, Ian.
Although if you say that now, it's going to get taken down. Thanks, Rob.
No,
not if you show it. You mostly
I know.
show
I
your
know.
face.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I'm playing.
Because
Pull up
there's
the
some
meme.
questions.
Pull up the meme before
Ian
we go.
Ian is doing the live.
Yes, Ian does live streams on TikTok. Do you think Emi will make minutes for Romeo and Neesmith? I kind of think that's. Oh yes.
Game gets out of hand.
Yes. I think that depends on how tonight goes. Like like Rob said, if the game's over by halftime, oh my God, he took Ian off the screen. If the game's over by halftime, I don't think Langford's going to play tonight. He's out, so I don't think that's happening either way, whether it's a blowout or close game. But I definitely think we might see some Neesmith tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, come back here post-game live, right, guys? Celtics, moments after the tip, or moments after the final buzzer, Celtics and Wizards post-game live, like I said, it's a close game, triple overtime, Grant Williams, 3-point behind the back, swish, nothing but net, assisted by Emi Udoka, will be here.
Peace.